Killer Klowns from Outer Space. A movie that's been ingrained in my head ever since I saw it on TV when I was a kid. This movie was created by the Kyoto brothers, and not only was it their first feature film, but it was greenlit after their first pitch, with a 26-page treatment and a one-page poster of a clown holding a ray gun looking over a small, sleepy town. It was shot in 36 days and on a budget estimated of only $2 million, which even in the 80s was considered an extremely small budget for a feature film. It's a fast-moving, energetic, punk rock, peak 80s riff on Jack Harris's The Blob. Fun side note, Killer Klowns was released in 1988, which is the same year of release as Jack Harris's produced remake of his own earlier horror classic, 1958's The Blob. It's a funny coincidence that Killer Klowns came out the same year as a remake of a movie that heavily inspired it. Anyway, just like in The Blob, the setup of Killer Klowns is something resembling a comet falls from outer space into the woods near a small town. The first victim is an old man, and two teenagers find out what it actually is and have to convince the town and authorities that the threat is real before it's too late. It turns out, using a 1950s monster film as a blueprint to make a love letter to 1950s monster movies is a great idea. This movie has a lot of fun things going for it, but chief among them, and I think most importantly in a monster movie, are the monsters, and these alien clowns from outer space look fantastic. Designed by Charles Kyoto and built by Roberts Studio Design, there is a genuinely grotesque design philosophy used in creating these clowns, and aside from just how neat their designs are, I've always been really impressed by how much movement their faces have. These are substantial costumes that vary in size and shape. They're consistently ill-proportioned and come off as malformed Looney Tunes characters who whimsically kill people in surreal and cartoonish ways. Sometimes it's followed by a low-end bubbling growl or a maniacal laugh through sharp, jagged teeth. Now, I don't know how they designed the sound for the laugh, but it catches me off guard and it is genuinely eerie. Little details, though, like the clowns being able to blink, go a long way in elevating their presence and making them feel more like amusement park creatures come to life. Generally, the clowns encase humans in cocoon-like cotton candy, which they then later drink the insides of by using comically long crazy straws. But that's not to say that the clowns are above creatively killing people. This movie has some blood in it. It's not an especially bombastic amount, and I don't want to oversell it, but it's enough to give the movie some teeth. And there are a couple scenes in this silly monster movie that are sincerely suspenseful. And without spoiling my favorite part of the movie, one scene in particular has a genuine horror edge that I found striking when I saw it as a kid, and I still find it effective to this day. We get to see the inside of the circus tent-shaped spaceship a couple times, and I've got to say, I think it's great. Some good-looking matte paintings mixed with cheap plastic knobs, buttons, painted tubes, and brightly colored zigzags filling up as much of the frame as possible with everything else just painted black. It's like being in a funhouse at your local fair, and it's perfect for this movie. And it's not just the spaceship, but everything clown-related in this movie has the right aesthetic, from the ray guns to the clown car. Now, it's hard to talk about this movie without mentioning its theme song and its score. The movie's main circus-inspired and wildly 80s theme was written and performed by the punk band The Dickies, who, if nothing else, you might know from their song Banana Splits. They wrote the theme only having been given a brief description of the movie, and I think it really works as a circus-inspired, upbeat piece of music to open and close the movie with. The original score was created by John Massari. Sometimes it's filled with the synth-crazy wailing we're accustomed to hearing in 80s movies, but other times it's bongos and vibraphones that give it that 50s monster movie feel that inspired the film. As of October 2018, John Massari released a re-recording of the score, performed by members of the Hollywood Chamber Orchestra. The Dickies also recorded a brand new version of the film's theme song for it, which might be something to look for if you see this movie and find yourself enjoying the music as much as I do. The film stars Grant Kramer, who does a good job selling some rough dialogue. Suzanne Snyder and John Allen Nelson are here as well, but I think it's John Vernon, who plays Officer Curtis Moody, who really stands out. He was the movie's most seasoned actor and really classes the place up. At an hour and 28 minutes long, Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a fun, surprisingly well-paced, super low-budget 80s monster movie with very cool creature design that plays homage to 50s monster movies while also managing to have its own identity. It's got a memorable score, and without spoiling anything, a climax that is pure alien clown joy. You'll find some rough dialogue, shots with soft focus, less than stellar acting, some not great ADR, and honestly, plenty of other flaws in this movie, but it's hard to fault a B-movie for being a B-movie. Instead, I think what sets this one apart are the things I've mentioned that elevates it beyond what you might assume it is at a glance. It's very silly, but the movie seems to know exactly what it is. Would I recommend Killer Klowns from Outer Space? If it isn't obvious by now, I would. If you're in the mood for a creature feature that's brisk, silly, very flawed, that actually really delivers on the monsters, Killer Klowns from Outer Space comes highly recommended. Thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll be making more of these, so subscribe for more horror movie reviews. And if you've seen Killer Klowns from Outer Space, I'd love to know what you think of it in the comments. Until next time.